Welcome to the Introduction to TenMarks Math Teach webinar. Today, we're going to begin with a short introduction to TenMarks Math Teach, followed by a quick overview of the different components of the program. Finally, we'll point you to where you can go for some additional resources to help you successfully implement TenMarks Math Teach in your classroom. Let's begin with a quick introduction. TenMarks Math Teach is a learning resource that teachers can use both as a professional development tool and as a grab-and-go lesson plan. As new standards require students to develop deep levels of conceptual understanding, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills, TenMarks Math Teach offers teachers multiple resources that they can use to both research and plan for how to deliver instruction to the appropriate levels of depth and rigor. We're going to go into each of these components in turn, but the major takeaway is that Teach is a tool that teachers can use to plan and deliver instruction designed around these new standards. Teach was designed to complement our pre-existing product called TenMarks Math. TenMarks Math consists of assignments, assessments, and fluency exercises that seek to identify what students know after the teacher has taught the lesson. It's designed for the independent practice and assessment portion of your lesson plan. Teach, on the other hand, is designed to be used the planning and delivery phase of lesson planning. Together, TenMarks Math and TenMarks Math Teach are designed to offer teachers a full complement of planning, instructional, practice, and assessment resources. Now that we've given sort of a brief overview of what TenMarks Math Teach is, we're going to go into a more in-depth overview of the key components of Teach and how they can be used in your classroom to help you plan for and deliver instruction. When you first log into TenMarks Math Teach, you'll be taken to your home screen, or what we like to call My Curriculum. Here you have access to the curriculum for the grade level or levels that you signed up for. If you're a premium user, you'll have access to all of the content in Teach from grade 1 all the way up to Algebra 2. To navigate to the different grade levels, click the curriculum selector and a drop-down menu will appear. As you can see in this account, I'm signed up for grades 3, 4, and 5. Clicking on the grade level will take you to that curriculum page. On the right-hand side, you can see your class progress through grade level domains. When you complete a lesson, the circle around the grade level domain will begin to fill out. The middle of the page houses the lesson tiles, and each tile represents one lesson. You can drag and drop your lessons to arrange them in the order that aligns to your scope and sequence. We're going to talk a little bit later about how to add lessons from other grade levels to your curriculum. But for now, when you log into TenMarks Math Teach, My Curriculum automatically displays the lessons you still have to do. If you want to see the lessons you have already completed, click the Completed button, and a list of the lessons you finished will appear. Please note, if you haven't completed any lessons, none will appear in this completed section. The Manage button allows you to quickly perform a series of actions. You can clear your curriculum, your to-do, or completed list by clicking on each of these individual options. You can also mark all of your lessons as either complete or move all of the lessons that you've already finished back to your to-do. Another way of marking your lesson as complete is by clicking on the circle next to the lesson tile. You'll be prompted as to whether or not you want to mark the lesson as complete, and if you do, the lesson will be saved as complete and will now show up under the completed section. You can always move it back to the to-do section by clicking Move to To-Do. You can find more information on a lesson in the lesson tile. Under the title is a brief description of the skills students should have and how this lesson builds on those skills. You can see the standard the lesson covers, as well as any prerequisites needed for this lesson. You can explore these prerequisite skills by clicking on any one of them. And this will take you to the Lesson Learning Objective page, which allows you to explore the standard further and even go through an actual lesson. The Heart button allows you to add the lessons to your favorite section, which we'll review in a bit. You can also rate the lesson using the stars and add or delete the lesson from your curriculum by clicking on the book icon. To get to the other sections of the program, click on the drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner. From here, you can navigate to the different grade levels in your curriculum. You can visit the Explore section where you can search for standards-aligned resources, or you can go to My Faves, which houses all of your favorite resources in Teach. But for now, let's go to the Explore section and look at all of the different resources that are available to you as you research a standard and plan for how to deliver it to your students. When you first navigate to the Explore section, the resources are organized by grade level and type. To view a different grade level's resources, simply click on that grade level. You can view the different types of resources by clicking the drop-down menu and selecting the resource you're looking for. There are 3 types of resources in Teach: lessons, videos, and amplifiers. And for right now, we're looking at lessons for 3rd grade. Automatically, you'll notice that lessons are organized by domain, and you can still get a sense of what the lesson covers by looking at the lesson tiles, and can add different lessons to your curriculum by clicking on the book icon. For example, let's say it's the beginning of the school year and I want to work on this 3rd grade standard with my 4th grade class as a review before launching into grade level material. To add it to my 4th grade curriculum, I simply click on the book icon and select the box next to 4th grade. Now, when I go to my curriculum for 4th grade, I'll see this 3rd grade standard appear in my queue. Take a moment and pause this video as you explore different grade level content and customize your scope and sequence. Now that you had some time to look through different grade level lessons and descriptions and add some to your curriculum, let's explore the other 2 resources available in Teach: videos and amplifiers. When you select videos from the drop-down menu, you'll first notice that all videos are tied to individual standards. So for instance, when I look at the videos for 3rd grade, I can see there are 4 videos that teach different components of standard 3.OA.1. I can watch any of these videos by clicking on the video itself and then clicking the play button. Take a moment and pause this video to explore some of the videos that you can use in your classroom. As you do so, keep in mind the different ways that you might use these videos to learn more about a standard, prep for an upcoming lesson, or other creative ways to think about using it. Now that you've had a chance to explore videos, let's move to amplifiers. Amplifiers are guided interactive tutorials that students receive in TenMarks Math when they score less than 70% on an assignment. As with videos and lessons, each amplifier is tied to a standard. Pause this video and take a moment to explore an amplifier. Remember that they're interactive, so that you'll have to click through and answer the questions as you go. Again, think about how you can use the models and language that's used in an amplifier to design your own lesson or learn more about the standard. Now that you've had time to explore the lessons, videos, and amplifiers in Teach, you can save your favorites of these resources to your My Faves page by clicking on the heart button. When you navigate to My Faves, you can see your collection of favorite resources listed. You can filter each of these resources by type. Furthermore, you can easily remove a resource from My Faves by clicking on the heart button. Before we take a deep dive into an actual Teach lesson, the final thing I want to point out is the search bar at the top of the screen. The search bar allows you to quickly search all of Teach for any topic or standard you're interested in. You can type in a keyword, phrase, or standard, and Teach will automatically pull up a list of resources related to that topic. For example, when I type in the word fractions, Teach automatically pulls up all of the available resources that have to do with fractions. I can refine these results by grade level, domain, resource type, and rating using the filters that run along the top of the screen. So in this example, I'm going to filter by 4th and 5th grade content, and I only want to see lessons and videos. From here, I can explore these resources and then add them to my faves or my curriculum. Now that you've gotten an overview of the different components of Teach, I want to walk you through an actual Teach lesson. I'm going to choose standard 4.OA.5, but feel free to choose a standard that you're currently working on or are interested in learning more about. When I click Begin Lesson, I'm automatically taken to the lesson cover page, which is designed to give teachers a sense of what's most important when learning and teaching a particular concept. On the right-hand side are the learning objectives for a standard. These are the skills that students should be able to do at the end of this lesson. Just like the new standards, TenMarks really emphasizes precision of language. So when you look at the learning objectives, you'll notice the specific language used, such as extend and generate, which are then reflected throughout the lesson. You can get a visual representation of these learning objectives and the prerequisite skills by clicking on the standard at the top of the page. And this will launch you into a page that displays these learning objectives and prerequisite standards for the concept. In this example, the prerequisite standards actually come from 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, and teachers can, again, go and explore through Teach to find videos, amplifiers, and even lessons that are tied to all of these prerequisite standards. Teachers can also get an overview of the concept progression, understanding what skills students are building on and building towards. In this example, TenMarks traces the foundation for this standard back to concepts learned in kindergarten. Furthermore, it explains how this standard lays the foundation for further skills to come in 5th grade. You can get a visual overview of this skill progression by clicking on the concept trajectory at the bottom of the screen. From here, you'll be taken to a map where you can trace how a skill builds from grade level to grade level. Go ahead and pause this video to explore the concept trajectory and get a sense of how the skill you are investigating builds over the course of a few grade levels. Now that you've investigated the foundations of the standard, let's begin the lesson by clicking the Start button. When you come to the first part of a Teach lesson, there are a few things to point out. First, you can print off any of the questions and answers for a section by clicking the print icon at the top of the screen. I'll make sure to continue to point this out on every lesson screen as it's a really crucial feature and one that people often miss. Right next to the print button is the Prep Presentation toggle. If you want to present a section to students, you can click on this toggle and the screen will widen and the left side panel will collapse automatically. You can reopen the panel by clicking on the tab. A final thing to note before we dig into the different parts of the lesson itself is the navigation bar at the bottom of the screen. A TenMarks lesson is broken up into 6 different components. You can see the names of all of the different sections by hovering over the bottom of the screen, which will make the navigation bar appear. You can navigate to any of these sections by clicking on the name of the section. Now that we've gotten a basic overview of some of the features embedded in a TenMarks Math Teach lesson, let's take a look at the first section, Assess Readiness. Assess Readiness is designed to help you assess whether your students have the prerequisite knowledge to complete the lesson. Along the left-hand side are a series of diagnostic questions that are tagged to prerequisite standards, and these questions correspond to the visual problems and models in the lesson window itself. Teachers can use this section to plan their own instruction, research what skills students should have before they begin an actual lesson, or they can project the images onto the board and walk students through the questions individually. The left side panel collapses when you click on the tab or when you enter into presentation mode. You can reopen the panel by clicking on the tab. However, this displays both the questions and the suggested answers to students. Some teachers may find it helpful to print off the questions in advance and walk the class through all or some of the suggested questions to assess their readiness. Again, remember, you can print the questions by clicking the print icon in the upper right-hand corner. Other teachers may create a Do Now and pull a selection of questions from the examples listed on the panel. Others may create new questions together. Others may create new questions altogether. The major takeaway is that Assess Readiness is really designed to be used flexibly, and there's no one right way to use it. Take a moment now to pause this video and explore the Assess Readiness questions and visuals in your lesson. Think through how you might use these questions in your classroom. Now that we've taken a look at Assess Readiness, let's move on to the next section, Misconceptions. There are two ways we can get to this section. First, we can use the progress bar that runs along the bottom of the page and appears when you hover over it. You can navigate to all of the different sections of this lesson from this bar. Alternatively, you can also click the button that says Misconceptions at the bottom of the page. Misconceptions is a section designed to help you, the teacher, identify and plan for common misunderstandings that students have when they're learning a particular standard. As you can see, teachers are given a quick explanation of the different misconceptions and are also offered an example of what these mistakes might actually look like from a student perspective. As a teacher, you can use these misconceptions to increase your awareness of these misunderstandings and ultimately diagnose and remediate should they arise. Notice that there's no prep presentation toggle in the upper right-hand corner because Misconceptions is not designed to be projected to students, but is rather a tool for you, the teacher, to use to make sure you understand common misconceptions. Take a moment now to pause this video and explore misconceptions. Make sure you carefully read through each of the descriptions and examples to get a sense of what these misconceptions might look like from your students. After looking through misconceptions, the next section of a TenMarks Math Teach lesson is warm-up. The number of warm-up items that are available in a lesson depend on how many prerequisite standards there are for a standard. For example, in this lesson there are 2 warm-up items, each of which is tied to one or more prerequisite standards. Like Assess Readiness, warm-up items are designed to be used flexibly and at the discretion of the teacher. So if your students struggled on one or more of the prerequisite standards in Assess Readiness, warm-up gives you the opportunity to review these skills before moving on to the actual focus lesson for the standard. Just like in Assess Readiness, the left side panel houses the questions and potential student answers for them. However, in warm-up, when you move through the questions, the visuals in the window animate to interactively demonstrate the answer. For example, when we look through this warm-up item, I can see that it is designed to cover the skills students are supposed to know from 3.08.9, identifying patterns using an input-output table. As I look through the questions, first, notice how the questions are scaffolded to build conceptual knowledge. Before introducing the input-output table, Teach introduces the concept of a pattern and then demonstrates visual ways that you can present the information, and then finally starts to build the concept of an input-output table. Teachers can differentiate their instruction to fit the needs of their class by choosing which questions they want to ask students instead of going through the whole warm-up item verbatim. Again, you can print the questions and answers from the warm-up items by clicking on the print icon in the upper right-hand corner. Take a moment now to pause this video and look through one of your own warm-up lessons. Make sure to notice how the questions are scaffolded and think about how you might use this in your classroom. Now that we've looked at the warm-up items, let's turn our attention to the next section, which contains the core lesson items, Focus. Focus provides multiple interactive core lessons designed to cover all of the learning objectives for a standard. Focus lessons build in complexity, and it's recommended that teachers generally follow a sequential order. However, teachers can use their discretion when planning which lessons to deliver to his or her students. If teachers strictly use the focus lesson questions in a discussion-based format, each focus lesson should take between 15 to 20 minutes to deliver. However, we really encourage teachers to get creative when you're delivering these lessons. Think about where you might want to insert an activity or where you might want to have partners actually tackle a question together. Again, remember you can print these questions for each focus lesson by clicking the print icon in the upper right-hand corner. If you want to think of ways to differentiate the focus lessons, either by making them more or less challenging, you can click the light bulb icon in the upper right-hand corner. This will give you ideas about what you can do to the focus lesson to target all of your students in the classroom. Now that we've gotten a basic overview of the focus lessons, pause this video and take a moment to look through the series of focus lessons for your standard. Make sure to notice how the lesson builds in complexity and check out the different ideas for differentiation. Think about how you might use a focus lesson in your classroom. Once you've finished the focus lessons, the next section is called Extend. For teachers who are looking to provide further enrichment for the standard covered in the lesson, the Extend section gives ideas for games, projects, or challenges that you can do with students. So for example, in Extend Understanding for identifying number patterns, Teach gives some great examples of independent practice ideas I could do with my students. Using these ideas, I could create a worksheet for them to complete comparing and identifying different patterns or rules. Or I could have them create their own pattern rules using different manipulatives during a center rotation. Because Extend is a section of the lesson designed to be used for research and planning purposes, it again does not appear when you are in the presentation mode, and there is no prep or presentation toggle in the upper right-hand corner. Take a moment now and look through the ideas for your standard. Pause this video and think about what activities you could have students do to continue to practice this skill after you finish teaching the lesson. The final section of the lesson is called Finish. This quickly recaps the lesson and allows you to mark it as complete. You will be prompted to move the lesson to the completed section of a grade level you are signed up for. Once you're finished, you can click the Close Lesson button and you will be taken back to your My Curriculum page. Now that you have an overview of the different components of Teach and an initial understanding of how you might use the different pieces in your classroom, I want to take a minute to point you towards some additional resources you can access to help you learn more about TenMarks Math Teach. Help.tenmarks.com has a wealth of resources, not only on TenMarks Math Teach, but also on TenMarks Math as well. To access the resources for TenMarks Math Teach, click on the box on the Help Desk home screen. From here, you can look at different articles and videos for each of the Teach sections or get an overview of how the product works. If you're interested in having a manual by your side as you work through TenMarks Math Teach, download the TenMarks Math Teach Field Guide, which gives you step-by-step instructions on how to complete all of the things that we went through on this demo. Thanks for joining along on our quick introduction to TenMarks Math Teach. Again, for more information on Teach, including resources and videos, visit us at help.tenmarks.com.